Well, good evening and welcome to the Tuesday, December 12th City Council meeting for the City of Pullman, which, according to our schedule, should be the last City Council meeting of 2023. And with that, Dee, would you please call roll?
Mayor Johnson.
Present.
Councilmember Benjamin.
Present.
Councilmember Rubin.
Here.
Councilmember Guido.
Here.
Councilmember McCall.
Here.
Councilmember Parks.
Here.
Councilmember Weller. Councilmember Wright.
Present.
And Weller notified us that he could not be here tonight. Do I hear a motion to excuse?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Under announcements tonight, I have a few. As Councilmember Francis Benjamin has now been certified, we mentioned that the last council meeting. We have an opening for the City Council position Ward 1 that'll be considered vacant as of January 1st. Interested parties may submit applications through January 9th at 11:59 p.m. at the city website. We are precise about that because we have Schweitzer's clock. So 11:59, we'll know that if it gets here on time. City of Pullman has been awarded $75,000 in middle housing grant funds from the Washington State Department of Commerce. The funding will foster the adoption of policies and codes that support the development of housing containing 2 to 6 units, such as townhouses and triplexes. Applications for the upcoming Police Citizens Academy are open now through December 22nd. The 11-week program begins February 1st, provides a comprehensive overview of police department, including presentations by subject matter experts, hands-on exercises, facility tours. There's a number of us who have gone through Citizens Academy, and we highly recommend it. And I definitely still remember some of the things that we were taught during that time. Did you know the City of Pullman has scholarships for park and recreation activities? The Care to Share Scholarship can be help cover 50% of activities for youth, seniors, or adults with disabilities. You can mark your calendars for the Winter and Spring 2023-2024 Parks and Recreation Activities Guide, which will be available to browse tomorrow. Registration opens on December 18th. Neal Public Library is hosting an open group for the first and third Wednesdays of each month at 1:30 to help community members find your balance. Life can curve, twist, and flip. So join Rural Resources Community Action in a judgment-free zone and share your frustrations, contribute solutions, and build community. Sounds like a place for council members and mayors and ex-mayors to go to. Share your whatever. All right. And with that, one more announcement. Pullman Fire Department is accepting donations now through December 17th with toys, winter wear, non-perishable food items to be distributed to families in need. We also had some good news this week that came through. A lot of hard work by the fire department. And our Assistant Chief, Ryan Scharnhorst, is here to share that. It's all about the Ratings Bureau, which does impact our insurance rates. So, Ryan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. For a quick minute tonight, I wanted to report out that the Washington Survey and Ratings Bureau, which, if you weren't aware, they're the Washington state source of property underwriting and rating for the insurance industry. And they do the property insurance rating organization. They're the only one for Washington, so it's pretty unique. And in short, they determine the fire department's ability to put out fires. And they come in and look at all of our criteria and how well all of the organization, not only just the fire department, but water, dispatch, and a number of other factors. So in February of 2023, they came and started our re-rate, and they do that about every 5 years. And they evaluated water supply, fire department operations, safety, fire safety like inspections and plan review, as well as emergency communication. And each of those is a weighted value. They last came in 2018, and we improved from a protection class of 5 to a 4, with 1 being the goal. And this year, last week on December 4th, we received word that we will remain a protection class rating of 4. So that's really good news. We didn't slide anyway. Obviously, we want to improve, but thankfully we didn't go downhill at all. So it's a good, solid effort by a good amount of teamwork from across the city and across the community with our partners. And we look to report out at a future council meeting on the specific details of that. And just wanted you to be aware. Thank you for your time.
Any questions of Ryan on that? Well, again, thank you so much. It's good news, and it does help all our insurance rates. And I know you made improvements in a lot of different categories.
Yes.
Even some of the things the council has improved for the future for Public Works will even help the fire department. So
Absolutely,
really about that.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now it's time for some recognition here tonight, and we have a couple of our council members who this is their last city council meeting. And I'm going to start with Eileen McCall. And beautiful plaque here, Eileen.
Thank you, Glenn.
And Eileen, you've really done your homework on every single time we've had our meetings. And plus, we definitely have heard back from PBAC because you served on that. And the solid waste group, we've heard from that. And you gave us everything we could possibly learn about recycling and why we can't recycle glass and some of the other things that are out there. So, but we appreciate all your service.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you so much. And we have one for Becky here, too. Thank you so much for your service. We realize you didn't run again. You made that choice. Several of us tried to talk you out of it, but that didn't happen. So anyway, congratulations for your service. You served on the Lodging Tax Committee, but the one that we see all the time is the Audit Committee. And you're going through everything and checking that. We really appreciate that. All right. Then I understand there's another recognition with that, and so we'll go to our City Administrator, Mike Urban.
Thank you, and this recognition is for you, Mayor Johnson, and it's not something I could ever accomplish alone because of the heavy lift. So I'd like to invite a couple of my friends up to help me out here, former City Supervisor John Sherman and former City Supervisor Mark Workman, to say a few words.
I was remarking to Eileen at how young these people look that have retired. I'm hoping that happens to me, too, so.
Oh, well, thank you, Mayor and Council, and for your service, all of you. It's wonderful to serve the citizens of Pullman, and being an elected official is a very difficult and challenging job, and we appreciate your devotion to our community. It's a great pleasure. I know this is Glenn's last City Council meeting, and that's difficult. I was City Supervisor from 1981 until I turned 65 in 2012. And it was my great pleasure to work with 5 different mayors and 43 different city council members during that time. But it's interesting that Pete Butkus hired me, and he left office during his second term. He ran and was successful on re-election, and then he retired to go to work as the executive director of the Public Works Fund. Carol Helm replaced him. She ran for re-election. She was elected. And then she quit to take a job in the private sector. And then Al Halverson was appointed. He ran for re-election, and he was elected. And then after that, Mitch Chandler ran, and he was elected to 2 terms. What's interesting is we did all the research through the city clerk's office and found that in the history, going back to the very creation of the city of Pullman, there had not been one single mayor that served 2 consecutive terms until Chandler. And now we have Glenn, who is completing his 5th 4-year term as mayor. That's pretty unprecedented in the city of Pullman, but also if we look around at other cities, as you know, in the city of Spokane, their mayor just ran for re-election and was defeated. And they reported at that time that there had not been a mayor elected in many, many years. They said there had only been one in the last 50 years. So getting re-elected is something that is really of great excellence within the city family. And we congratulate Glenn on doing that. It's an exceptional accomplishment. He's been a great mayor. It was an absolute pleasure to work for him and a time of great accomplishment. After I resigned or retired, Mark Workman replaced me, and then Adam Lincoln, and now Mike. And so it's great to have so many good contributors to the city. I commend you on this wonderful building. I assure you I had nothing to do with it, as I was long gone. Take no credit for it. And the same could be said of the airport. And Adam Lincoln was there, and I commended him, and I told him my philosophy is give credit and take blame. And I said, I'll take blame for the old one and give you all credit on the new one. But it's a wonderful facility, and it's such a beautiful improvement for the community. So I just want to thank Glenn for all he's done. we could go on and on and on about Glenn. Greg Colvig's here. We were just talking about, watched a YouTube video, and it was Glenn and Pete Butkus during the Mount St. Helens ash cleanup. We had floods, remember sandbags and all of that. Glenn helped us in passing bond issue. As being a broadcast journalist, he went through the police department and showed the jail and everything else. After having failed a public safety bond issue several years before, after that video was on the city's government channel, that passed with a 70% approval. And so, you know, his broadcast journalism skills come to work not only when he's representing the city, but in all kinds of different things. He's been heavily involved at the local, state, and regional and national level. I remember that in 2009 and 2010, he was president of the Association of Washington Cities. He was in the White House with the president, with the delegates that represent National League of Cities or U.S. Conference of Mayors. And it's just been wonderful to have his influence, not only on Pullman, which we are focusing on tonight as him being the mayor, but also in the whole region. And so much of it is partnerships and working with others and doing that. So, Glenn, we wish you the best. I know you'll continue to look good. And yeah, the retirement does help. And give our best to Kathy as well. Thank you very much for your service.
Thank you, John.
So as you might tell from John's presentation, he was kind of like the Vince Lombardi of city supervisors. Finding a replacement for him on the open market was really difficult. When John retired, as he mentioned, I was asked to serve as the interim supervisor, which I did. After a few months of that, there was no viable candidate that rose to the surface, and I told Glenn that I'd take the job if he wanted me to. I said, I feel like I could pretty much handle the business side of the city, but that the political public relations side really wasn't so much my forte. Glenn said, don't worry about that, he'll take care of it. So that was generally how we broke up the responsibilities, with overlaps, of course, but Glenn was always the boss, and I often referred to him as boss. We worked closely on a daily basis on some very difficult issues. The general fund had some scary budget issues at that time, and we were on a going broke trajectory. The union negotiations seemed to always be tough, and securing the initial local funding for the airport runway project was a challenge. Working together through these issues, they were eventually resolved, along with many, many other issues. Looking back now, I really appreciate that time working with Glenn and getting to know him better. I tell anybody that will listen to me that Glenn is the best advocate Pullman could ever have. I doubt if any other city has better. The other thing I learned about Glenn was just how smart he is, and came to really value his insights and his problem-solving skills. So thank you, Glenn, for the opportunity to work with you, and thank you for the thousands of hours you have served for the betterment of Pullman. You've had a great mayoral career, and you can be very proud of that. I think that in the end, we would all like to feel that we have made a difference, and you, Glenn, have definitely done that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I sort of remember that we had some candidates for city supervisor at that time, and I told them at a time before we interviewed them, I said, you know, if no one knocks my socks off, would you be interested in being the city supervisor? And then he said, well, Kevin Gardis needs to be public works director if I took that. So we were still negotiating, and then I came back and said, I don't have any socks on, and nobody knocked me off. I tell you, it's your job if you want it. So we still had to talk him in, you know, a little bit. It was just like, offered? No, I was trying to coax him into it for weeks. And so thank you, Mark, for all the things you did. And especially, we had some real big budget cuts. Some of us are on the council here know that you helped us through that and came up with some really good guidelines, so thank you so much. Okay.
So knowing how much you're enjoying this, Glenn, I'll try to keep mine real short. I just want to start with a personal moment from the first time we met at a AWC conference in Olympia, having lunch at a table when I was a brand new city council member from Mount Vernon, Washington. I never thought 14 years later you'd be calling me and offering me a job, and I probably didn't react to it the way that I should. And I know you love it when I tell this story about the voice of the Cougs offering me the job, and all I heard were bells in my ears, and I had to call you back on that one. But thanks for plucking me out of a situation and giving me a career and a life over here. This has been amazing to me and my family. I don't want to belabor the points brought by Mark and John because they were so, touching. But along with the community leadership that you've had, I just want to touch on the staff and how you've supported us with the consummate optimism, positive voice, thoughtful advice and guidance, and just a huge, huge heart. How many of the staffers here were your hires, if you sit down and do the math? So on behalf of a grateful community and staff and the three of us, we'd like to present you with this plaque that reads, "Presented to Glenn A. Johnson in appreciation of your outstanding and dedicated service to the city of Pullman and its residents as mayor, 2004 through 2023.
Get a chance to present you with something here too. Because Mike, in his spare time, and I realize all of you know he doesn't have a lot of spare time, but he's been going to class. And he also went to Harvard. We all know that. I was really, frankly disappointed when he came back, as I thought he'd at least have a Harvard accent, even an accident, whatever. But anyway, but no, he's been going to class. Executive Certificate in Public Leadership through the Harvard Kennedy School of Government. This is for leaders in public service. It's a select group, too, that get this. And he started last spring, culminated this week. We have the Harvard Kennedy School Executive Education, so I get to present you with something. So congratulations. I know it's a lot of hard work, and we're very proud of you.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Well, next on the agenda, we have public comment. Public comment is limited to anything that we're taking as final action tonight. So if you look at the agenda and you take a look at final action, you see some budget amendments and things of that nature. Is there anyone who would like to make any public comment on any final action that the council is taking? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. These are items that are considered routine in nature. The council's had a chance to look these over at time. Do I hear a motion to read by title only?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, Thad O'Sullivan, our city attorney.
First item is a motion to dispense with the reading of the November 28, 2023 meeting minutes and approve them as submitted. Item 2, a motion to accept the third electric bus charger for the city of Pullman as complete. Item 3, a motion to accept the Pullman WWTP admin building panel replacement contract as complete. Item 4, a motion to approve disbursements for accounts payable checks numbered 111630 through 111641, electronic transfers 135, 136, and 1085 through 1089 and 1091, payroll direct deposits numbered 89461 through 89805, totaling $1,036,662.85. A motion, item 5 is a motion to void check number 104406 and replace with check number 111629 in the amount of $98.67. Item 6, a motion to approve disbursements for accounts payable checks numbered 200792 through 200815, totaling $525,183.06. Item 7, a motion to approve disbursements for accounts payable checks number 200816 through 200884 totaling $1,490,385.71. Item 8, resolution number R-57-23, a resolution amending R-47-23 relating to the authorization of leases for each city-owned Guy Street property on the terms set forth for each property. Item 9 is resolution number R-58-23, a resolution declaring certain accounts receivable due to the city of Pullman to be bad debts and removing said accounts from the active accounting records of the city.
Is there any item the council would like to offer discussion? Seeing none, the consent agenda consists of items 1 through 9. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So move. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We now move to the regular agenda tonight. Our first item is an ordinance dealing with amending our budget. And with that, Jeff Albright, who's our finance director. Jeff?
Oh, thank you. So hopefully you've had a chance to read the memo in the board docs. It outlines budget amendments for the 2023-2024 budget. Most of this is just kind of clean up year-end things, previous actions the council's taken on various things, and then updating the budget to reflect those actions. There's a few expenses that were unable to be anticipated. And then a lot of it is our capital projects that are either in progress, so capital projects that were started in 2023 that'll be carried over to 2024, or capital projects that were approved in the 2024 CIP plan, so to amend the budgets to include those, as those obviously happened after the budget was adopted. There's a large 2023 is related to air pass-through grants, so you see a large number where it's basically a net zero. We receive revenue for the grants for the airport project and then of course pay that out to the contractors. And then the entire 2024 airport budget, because the airport does their budget on an annual basis as opposed to biannual basis, the entire 2024 airport budget is essentially an amendment to the budget process. The memo does include both city and metro parks in the memo. Metro Parks will be a separate action that will begin as a part of the Metro Board, but I went ahead and included all the information together in the memo. So with that, if there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
Any questions of Jeff? If not, do I hear a motion on this ordinance?
Move to adopt ordinance number 23-18.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Thad, do you want to read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 3-18, an ordinance amending ordinance number 22-5, adopted November 29, 2022, and entitled, "An Ordinance Adopting a Biennial Budget for the City of Pullman for the Biennium 2023 through 2024."
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And again, for those listening, that is not the complete ordinance, that's just the title. Because if you would be, you'd probably still be reading that. At this point, I am adjourning the member of the meeting of the City Council and convening the meeting of the Metropolitan Park District. And we'll dispense with the roll call because we have already done that. And the next thing is a resolution amending the Metro Parks District budget. If you want to make a couple of comments on that, Jeff, before we go
No,
on
just
to
very similar. Most of this is capital projects in progress, as well as the Veterans Park land payments. So pretty straightforward in those. And again, they're reflected in the memo that was sent.
Any further questions of Jeff on this? Do I hear a motion on this resolution?
Move to adopt resolution number MPD-23-2.
Second.
Would you read the title of this resolution, please?
Yes. Resolution number MPD-23-2, a resolution amending Metro Parks District budget as adopted by resolution number MPD 22-2, adopted November 29, 2022, and entitled, "A Resolution Adopting the 2023-2024 Budget of the Pullman Metropolitan Park District," Park District, by appropriating monies for the Park District operations and matters properly related thereto.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, we now adjourn the meeting of the special meeting of the Metropolitan Park District. We now reconvene of the Pullman City Council meeting. Our regular agenda continues. We are now on item number 2. This is an ordinance dealing with certain civil penalties and related fines. And with that, our city attorney, Thad O'Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. The purpose of this item is to revise the ordinance relating to animals and the fines that are charged for violation of those sections. The reason why is because in 2019, the Washington State Legislature adopted a public safety and education assessment, and it required courts to impose public safety and education assessments in addition to fines, penalties, and, sorry, I want to make sure I get this right. Fines, forfeitures, and penalties assessed. So that had the unintended consequence of a fine for an unleashed pet would be $100, but because of some language in the ordinance, there was a forfeiture up to $500. And so the Whitman County District Court was basing the public safety and education assessment on that $500. So if you were, if you got a ticket for an unleashed dog, you would end up paying $1,025. So that's $500, and then there's 70%. There's two assessments. There's a 70% assessment. So 70% of 525 is $350, and then there's a second assessment, which is 50% of the first assessment, which would be an additional $175. So this not only was inconsistent with the intent of the ordinance, it also created inconsistency within the Pullman City Code as far as fines and what level of fines. And so what we did is we went through the ordinance and struck out any language that was inconsistent and removed the forfeiture up to $500, so that when someone does receive a ticket for unleashed pet, it comes out to $205 instead of $1,025. And so with that, if there's questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any question on the change in language? All I know is I had an unleashed dog. I had to end up building a fence, which is a lot more than the $200, I'll tell you that. But, the dog stayed in the place, pretty good. No other questions? Do I hear a motion on this ordinance?
Move to adopt ordinance 23-19.
Second.
Moved and second. Would you read the ordinance?
Yes.
The title.
Ordinance number 23-19, an ordinance of the City of Pullman amending section 9.01.030 of the Pullman Municipal Code for consistency throughout relating to certain civil penalties and related fines and other matters properly related thereto.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, we now move to the third item on our regular agenda tonight, and that is a resolution adopting fees and grave sites and services for the City of Pullman cemeteries and rescinding a schedule. Damon is here, who's our park superintendent. Kurt?
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Before you this evening is a resolution to adopt fees for grave sites and related services at our City of Pullman cemeteries. At the November 8th Cemetery Committee meeting, members who were present developed and approved the proposed fee schedule after a lengthy review and deliberation. Really good discussion among our members and some valuable input from Bob Warnick, one of our committee members from Corbell Funeral Homes. Also on November 8th, the Parks and Recreation Commission members voted in favor of forwarding the fee schedule to the City Council for consideration and approval for fees to take effect January 1st, 2024. Do note the last cemetery fee increases were 2015 and then 2003 prior to that. So you do have the fee schedule, proposed fee schedule in front of you. We looked at 35 to 40% increase on our price of graves. And really what we did is looked at that looked at our comparables to cities around us or comparable size, and again, valuable input from Bob Warnick. So we got the current rate there in yellow and the proposed in blue. One thing I would note that looking back at minutes from previous committee members and meetings is that this committee has desired to keep infant grave sites and related costs at a minimum for those. And this committee was no different in doing that. So we've got the price of graves increasing there, as well as our cremation. And then as you look down, we've got grave opening and closing fees weekday, and then also what that looks like on weekend and holiday. The weekend and holiday fees are about 30% higher thereabouts compared to during the week. One thing I would note is that...
Kurt, you might mention on the weekends, we have to pay overtime for people, correct? And that's the
Correct.
reason why we
Yeah.
have the extra
And that's
rates.
where we account for that 30% cost, as well as, you know, if we need any contract services for digging graves and such. The proposed fee schedule addresses staff and cemetery committee goals of increasing revenue to counter the rising cost of perpetual care. We hopefully have cemetery expansion project coming next year in '24, as well as keeping fees comparable to other cemeteries, and also considering the industry trend of shifting to cremation from traditional earth burials. So with that, I would take any questions.
Any questions of Kurt on this? Okay. Seeing none, then do I hear a motion on this resolution?
Move to adopt resolution number R-59-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Thad?
Resolution number R-59-23, a resolution adopting fees for grave sites and services for City of Pullman cemeteries and rescinding the schedule of fees for grave sites and services adopted by resolution number R-34-15.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And Mike, we're getting really close on getting most, Dee, you work with this all the time. GIS location for all the grave sites, we're getting really close on that. Sam has been working, I know, diligently on that. About how close are we getting now? So,
Well, I've been going through our hard copy card index
Yep.
and comparing this with what's in GIS, and only when I have them I'm able to do that. So I think I'm on A.
okay. A lot in those hard copies. I've seen them before.
Well, so over the years, they've used different databases on comparing them all to make sure the information is correct.
So Dee Stiles is our city clerk. She's here tonight for a resolution about electronic signatures. Floor is yours.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So in an attempt to move to current times, what we're trying to do is the use of electronic documents and signatures provides for an efficient, effective, and secure means for conducting private and public business. During the 2020 legislative session, the Washington State Legislature adopted the Uniform Electronic Transactions Act, which is under RCW 1.80, which became effective June 11th, 2020, which allows municipalities to determine whether and the extent to which the agency will send and accept electronic signatures in the conduct of business. This resolution and the attached electronic signature policy promotes efficiency to conserve public resources, establish guidelines for the use of electronic signatures for certain city transactions, and provide reasonable assurance of integrity, authenticity, and non-repudiation of electronic documents. Additionally, I've been working with the IT department on this item, and the resolution and electronic signature policy does require the IT approve the electronic signature provider. And I would be happy to take any questions.
Any questions on this? Then do I hear a motion on this policy? Yes, please.
This is a personal interjection. Dee, I would like to thank you for all the help you've given me over the years. And when you mentioned cards from the cemetery, when I met over the cemetery cards, I saw you using it. I'm Selectric to work on those cards, and I went, goodness sakes. And that just shows you her dedication, and she's still slogging away on those index cards, and we're all still here 10 years later. Thank you so much, Dee, for everything over the years.
Thank you. Appreciate
And
that.
also, I can add to that, her compassion when people come in to
Yes.
buy gravesite is
Yes,
just
yes.
amazing, and I've seen her in action. And before that, Jane Joyce, when she was our city clerk, did the same thing. And so, again, Dee, thank you very much for your hard
I
work.
appreciate that.
Okay. With that, do I hear a motion on this resolution?
Move to adopt resolution number R-60-23.
Second.
Moved and second. Thad?
Resolution number R-60-23, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Pullman authorizing the use of electronic signatures in the City of Pullman and adopting an electronic signature policy and matter properly related thereto.
Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Coming out of new business, is there anyone who would like to introduce new business? And again, you have a limitation of about 3 minutes. If I don't see that, professional negotiations or grievance or mediation proceedings, or reviewing the proposals made during the course of negotiations or proceedings, City Council is announcing its intention to discuss such matters in executive session. Executive session is expected to last 20 minutes. If it becomes necessary to extend that, we will announce it outside, and the council may take action following the executive session. It is now 7:38. Let's meet at 7:45 in executive session, and again for 20 minutes.
executive session is extended 10 minutes to 8:15. Executive session is being extended another 10 minutes to 8:25. 8:25.
Add sparkle to any design with glitter stickers by Sticker. Add sparkle to any design with glitter stickers by Sticker Mule. Glitter stickers are a fun way to showcase your artwork.
Executive sessions extended 5 minutes to 8:30. 8:30, thank you. Executive session extended again, 5 minutes, 8:35.
Executive session will continue for another 5 minutes.
Do I hear a motion?
The motion is to...
Turn your mic on, make sure it's
It's
on.
on, I'm on.
Okay.
The motion is to direct staff to modify the downtown project scope 2, extend the project timeline and the street closure from April 1st to October 15th, and there will be full Main Street closure for most of this time, maybe all of this time. To reduce the liquidated damages amount by half, to increase project incentives for early completion from 10 days to 20 days maximum, and to alter the restrictions on the 3-day closures of the front door closures from 3 days to a maximum of 7 days total.
Second.
We have a second from Becky. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Matter carries. At that point, we're ready to adjourn. Would you like to make the motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 8:42.